The chair recognizes Representative LaFave.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today in support of House Bill 4397. While this is not the perfect bill, it's certainly not exactly the bill that I sponsored last term. It's not the two bills that I sponsored this term. This is a good bill. The people of Michigan have been begging for this chamber specifically, to pass a reform for over 40 years. I'd like to remind my members on both sides of the aisle that's a little bit longer than I've been alive. We need reform. House Bill 4397 is the reform that our constituents, our voters, our drivers, and the people of Michigan have been demanding for 4 decades plus. Some of the problems in the current no-fault system include incredibly overpricing by medical companies. For example, if the good senator from the 38th district were to come over here and hit me with a shovel on the House floor, it'd be $350 for an MRI at Sparrow Hospital under a work comp fee schedule. But if on my way home at 2 in the morning, I hit my head on the steering wheel, it's $4,000 for the same MRI if a car insurance company pays for it. Well, as it turns out, as the members on the other side of the aisle pointed out, the insurance companies don't just eat that. They charge every one of us for it. That's why we have the highest car insurance rates in the nation. This bill puts a fee schedule on medical procedures and makes the healthcare providers accountable and charge reasonable fees for medical procedures. We have fee schedules on Medicare, Medicaid, Blue Cross Blue Shield has fee schedules, workers' compensation has a fee schedule, auto no-fault insurance has no fee schedule, and that is part of the reason it costs so much money to get insurance in the state of Michigan. So House Bill 4397 fixes that problem by putting in a workers' compensation fee schedule. Now it doesn't matter if the good senator hits me with a shovel or if I hit my head on the steering wheel. It's the same cost for the same MRI at the same hospital. That will save drivers money. It doesn't matter if you live in Detroit or you live in Delta County. It will save you money. A couple of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle keep saying that this bill won't save any money, and I'm not going to call anybody a liar, but it is simply untrue. If you read the bill, and I have had a chance to read it, it's 82 pages long, it's a little bit complex, but if you look closely, it says a guaranteed rate rollback on the PIP portion of your bill of 100% if you don't want to pay for PIP coverage. That means a complete opt-out of the MCCA, and no PIP portion of your bill. 100% savings on PIP portion of your bill. That's a guaranteed savings. It also says that if you choose $50,000 of coverage, you get an 80% cut in car insurance rates. Well, what if you want a little bit more coverage than that? You want $250,000? Well, that's a 60% rate rollback. It's not a bad deal. $500,000 of coverage, you get a 30% rate rollback. But what about those that want unlimited coverage? No limit whatsoever for the rest of your life. It doesn't matter if you're in your 20s like I am, or if you're like some of my good colleagues from my side of the aisle up in Howell and you're a little bit older. Unlimited coverage, you still get a 10% rate rollback, guaranteed. Now that's a floor. That's a minimum of a rollback. It's not a maximum. There are car insurance companies that advertise nationally. I'm not going to say their name in this chamber, but they advertise if you 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. However, they don't offer coverage here in Michigan because it's too darn expensive for them to do it. You can get a policy, but it's twice what you could get a coverage for today than if you were to get a native Michigan company, somebody based domestically here in Michigan. So those are some of the things that this bill does. It also combats fraud and goes after some of the bad actors in the system that cost, again, It's not the insurance companies that we're worried about. It's about everybody who pays those rates. And it goes after fraud. That is going to save us money. One of the biggest things that I've been working on in my last 3 years in this chamber has been saving drivers money. I ran on two things back in 2016. I ran on keeping our kids in the Upper Peninsula and lowering car insurance prices. House Bill 4106 got signed under the last administration. It's a good bill. I'm not going to get into it, but it helps with skilled trade. But the more and more I look at the problems we have, the biggest problem we have in Michigan's Upper Peninsula is that our kids keep fleeing across the border. They flee a mile across the border, across the Menominee River into Wisconsin, because the average Yooper pays $1,500 a year for car insurance, and Wisconsin pays $500. I don't know how many people that I've met at supermarkets in my
Members, I'm attempting to provide some latitude, but we will maintain decorum in the House during this debate. Representative, please keep your comments tailored to the bill before us. The chair recognizes Representative LaFave.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I don't know how many times I've been at my supermarket and had an individual come up before me and say, you know, Representative LaFave, you're doing a great job. I really appreciate your work on car insurance, and I'd like to be able to help you or maybe vote for you, but I can't because I had to move across the river into Wisconsin because I couldn't afford car insurance in Michigan anymore. What a hard decision to have to make, to leave the place you were born, the place you grew up. People that have been to the UP know we have a specific culture, and they had to go across into Wisconsin and leave that. They had to look their parents in the eye and say they had to leave. Well, House Bill 4397 gives an opportunity for every one of my generation, everybody a little bit younger than me, a little bit older than me that had to go across that river, to be able to phone their family back up and say, hey, it's 90 days after the Michigan House voted and car insurance rates dropped by more than $1,000 a year. I can't wait to hear that conversation when they say, Mama, I'm coming home. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's time to come back home.